We strongly believe that land stewardship is going to then become an ethos of these families, and that, you know, the more that we can get families in Texas thinking about stewarding Texas, you know, the better the state's going to be.
Two, one. Hello, everybody. This is Chip Bubella. Welcome back to the Entre podcast. Today is episode 7. And I have some really special guests with us today. Let me tell you something, guys. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Today, I'm going to bring all of our averages up because we got some really smart individuals here. I have Ryan Burnett and Jacob McLaughlin, and they are with Land Within Reach. Guys, thank you so much for being here today on this podcast with us.
Yeah, we appreciate you inviting us. We always love coming and visiting the folks over at Bubella.
So I met Ryan, guys. He had called me. I don't remember, it was during the week, right? And you went on our website and did some due diligence, and you saw we had these books in the background over here. I guess Holly was filming in here one day, and that's why you contacted us. You're like, okay, this guy likes to read, so I take it you like to read too. And we had a lot of the same books that I had read that you saw. You had also read, Ryan. And so Ryan called me. We met up in Columbus, had coffee at the coffee shop there, and we did a deal together at the end of the year. And so thank you for that. And you just never know where life's going to lead you and who you're going to meet.
That's right.
So that was a special day for me.
That's right. And the way that it actually happened is that we are moving operations from Polk County north of Houston to Fayette. Fayette was the dreamboat county, my favorite county in the state by far. Jacob and I have been talking about it for a couple of years. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But Jacob, you know, we said we need to find the brokerages in Fayette County that are the ones that we need to work with. And he came up with 5, and I said, what's the top one? What's the one that we need to reach out to first? And he said, Bubella Real Estate's at the top. And I said, okay, great. And so I looked, like you said, online, and I saw your picture, and in the background was that book that I'm looking at right now, Good to Great, which is my favorite, by far my favorite business author, Jim Collins. And I said, yep, this is the guy.
Awesome.
So gave you a call, and we met up, and here we are.
Here we are. So let's talk about Land Within Reach. I got a new project going over here in Fayette County, the county that y'all love, the county that I love. I grew up here all my life, and then I moved away for 15 years and got back here as fast as I could. We call it God's country. And this new project is pretty spectacular. Tell us and our guests, I've been out there, but I want to hear from you because you probably can tell it better than I can, but it is a very, very special project. And I think it's going to go a long way within Texas. It's the first one in Texas, a project like this. And I think this model, this concept could really take off. Yeah.
So the industry niche of land development that we're in is called conservation development. And what that is it's for profit, right? But it brings in these elements of conservation into the neighborhood or the community that you're building, and different companies do it in different ways. And there's a few companies, you know, in the state and others around the country that are doing it, but it's new and it's early. But we feel like it's the tip of the spear, right? It's what's coming. It's the wave that's coming.
For sure.
And we're hoping that by doing what we do and then getting on podcasts like this, that we're going to encourage others that are in the industry or thinking about being in the industry to do this style of development, because it's what the state needs and it's what it deserves. But so when you talk about the project is actually our product, and that product is called Wildlife Communities. So that's a wildlife community is a term that we came up with and trademarked as our product to bring grassland prairie restoration and wildlife habitat back into living alongside the people in the community. All right. So what we like to say is, this is not land that you live alongside or adjacent to. You live inside of this nature. Okay. It surrounds you. It's everywhere around you. Okay. And the project that you're referencing is the one that's right up here in Freiburg, right around the corner from a super cool dance hall that somebody renovated and did a nice job, Freiburg Dance Hall. And it's called the Homesteads at Walker Branch. And, you know, depending on when exactly you're listening to this podcast episode, you know, it may or may not be available. But we can use it for today's talk as an example of what it is that we're doing. And Jacob over here is the guy who's responsible for really making it happen on the ground. So do you want to talk about all the features?
I can talk about some of the features.
All I want to say is one thing though about you before you get started, Jacob, is the thought and intellectual capacity that went behind this. Because I can tell you that he put so much thought in it. It wasn't just go. It was like, it took about a year almost to really put the thought and process behind all this. And things that you came up with, you would call them and bounce them off me. And you were able to think about things that I never thought about. And so I was very impressed with that.
Thanks, man.
So,
well, for every conversation that you and I have had, or for every action that I've taken, Ryan and I have probably had 5 hours of conversation between the two of us.
Yeah.
We're known for marathon phone calls amongst our wives. So,
yes,
we talk a lot about this concept, and it has taken many months of iterating to get where we are today. We didn't even acquire this property at the end of last year, beginning of this year, with the concept fully formed, actually. And so as we began to do some light improvements on the property and really understand what we acquired, we were able to build some relationships with people by attending the Texas Land Trust Council conference, surrounding ourselves with people that truly are the experts in this space. Because Ron and I have just been enthusiasts. This is something that we have wanted to do for a long time. Been reading books on it, listening to podcasts, and attending these conferences for the past several years to figure out how we can make an impact here. And ultimately, we landed on a collection of conservation partners that are really the key to the success that, let me back that up, that they're key to this concept coming to fruition, basically. And so like Ryan alluded to, we have grassland recovery as a major component, because a healthy ecosystem starts with the soil, and everything builds upon that. And then from there, we have wildlife management as that serves multiple purposes. I mean, when people move out into the country, what they want is, privacy. They want, they want additional space. They want, dark skies. They want all these different things. But I think predominantly what they really want is access to nature and authentic outdoor experiences. Yeah. And you don't get to have that on every piece of property that you could find in the county to purchase. And, that it takes intentionality to create something like that. And it takes expertise, time, and money. And so in addition to the light improvements that we have put together on this property, so as to, provide something of value, from driveway aprons to fencing to manicured tree canopies and those kinds of things, like we're trying to execute those at a 10 of 10 level to provide that to the owners of the homesteads in our communities. But in addition to that, what the real value that we've been bringing to the table is, like I said, this collection of conservation professionals. And so we have, I'm going to plug a couple of these people, if that's all right.
Sure.
We've got Gary Stevens and Coleman Stillwell at WHF, Wildlife Habitat Federation. They've put together a multi-year grassland management plan for the entire 88-acre development, which is broken into 11 different tracts. But it's a cohesive plan across every acre of the entire Homesteads at Walker Branch project. And so we're restoring, the prairie from old world grasses like KR blue stem and Johnson grass and Bermuda, which have low ecological value and might even be considered invasive species. We're restoring them to the big four native Texas grasses: big blue stem, little blue stem, switch grasses, and Indian grasses, with the fifth as a kicker being side oats, grama. And so we're bringing all of those grasses back, along with a wide variety of forbs. And it takes, it's a complex process, right? It takes good timing, good understanding of soil composition and history of a piece of property. And so they have this massive, in-depth management plan that they put together. And over a period of time, we're going to be restoring this to native Texas prairie. And another one of our organizations that we've tapped into is the Native Prairie Association of Texas. They're a statewide a nonprofit conservation organization that specializes in education and certification of native prairies. They put groups of people together to do that restoration work. So they helped us get in touch with WHF. But a key component of this development, and one of the things that makes it really unique, is the fact that we're pursuing native Texas prairie certification status for every single one of our individual tracts. So every one of our homesteads, all 11 of them, are pursuing this designation as a certified restored native Texas prairie. And the community as a whole, so the homesteads at Walker Branch, is also going to be the first of its kind as a native Texas prairie community. That's a designation that we've worked with INPAT, Native Prairie Association, to pursue. So we will be the first residential community in the state to have this designation when it's all said and done, which we're very proud of. And in that partnership that we've got with them. And then the last component would be Plateau Land and Wildlife. They are a for-profit organization, but they work in this conservation space. And so they too have put together a multi-year community-wide management plan to target a variety of species, from migratory birds, songbirds, deer, turkey. What am I missing? I feel like there's maybe one more.
Everything from grassland birds, right? So quail is in the mix.
Yep.
Pollinators, of course.
And pollinators. Thank you.
All of it. Yep.
Yeah. So they have this plan and they're helping us execute it because, when you put together a restored ecosystem like that through grassland management, it's going to attract wildlife as a beacon to this piece of property. I mean, we're going to have a shining example of a healthy ecosystem for these animals to live in, and we want a plan in place in order to be able to take advantage of that. And so they've come out, they brought their biologists, they've prescribed a certain number of birdhouses and bird feeders. Like every one of our tracks has a 200-pound bird seed ground feeder. Thank you. We have bird listening devices that we've installed across the entire property that's digitally upload and use AI to identify what birds are being called out. Or calling out rather, and it gets uploaded into this database that we can track. And
so you think about all this Joe have put together, and it solves a major problem for us, especially the people that want us to keep the country. As you talked about, as a residential plan, but it also keeps the country. It keeps the native grasses. You're also improving Texas, what it's become, because of the invasive species too. You're restoring it back to what you call the four native original Texas grasses, old world prairie is what we call it, right? And so that's what I think is just really, really neat about this project, especially being in Fayette County, the land that I love, the area that I was born and raised in, and for us to have, because no matter what, we can't stop people from moving here, right? But what we can is provide them a community like this that can help keep our community what it originally was all at the same time, right? So I think that's the major problem that you're solving with these types of communities. It provides housing, but also at the same time, it keeps the country, which is, I think, is really, really neat.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, we're really more the folks that are setting up the pens. The ones that are knocking them down are the people who are buying into these communities, right? Because if all we're doing is just restoring grassland prairie and, habitat and all that, and then that's it. Yeah. Right. Then that's nonprofit work. Right. But what we're doing is we're bringing in families that want to be a part of this and own something special that we say ages like wine, not milk.
Yeah.
Right. Because it just keeps getting better as the years go on. So, there's a difference between landowners and land stewards.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two very different things, right?
Yep.
And they're both fine, all right? Yep. But a land steward is somebody who sees themselves not as the owner of the land, but as the caretaker of that land for the small period of time that they happen to be on this planet. Because don't get it wrong, we're all here for a very short time, right?
You're like a shepherd to your sheep,
Yes. And if they do a great job of not just stewarding the land, but also stewarding the next generation of their family, then the next generation, the one after that, and the one after that can continue to care for that land.
Mm-hmm.
But we subscribe to the ethos that you never actually really fully own Texas. You're just the caretaker of it. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what we try to recruit into our communities is we're trying to give land of high quality that has been seeded with all of the right elements, that has the governance documents, right? Like the governance of how the community runs in place to help families help themselves, to help them operate as a community on their own, to make sure that this thing just continues to deepen and get better and better and better. And again, the reason why we're on podcasts like this and the reason why we're telling everybody about what it is that we're doing is for other people to take up that mantle. Jacob said that we are the first certified Texas Prairie community in the state. And that is right. He also said that we are developing that program with NPAT, the Native Prairies Association of Texas. And that is correct too. But we're not doing it so that we can put our arms around it and say, this is mine. We're doing it as a designation program for the conservation development industry to try to encourage others to go for this program.
Yeah.
Do what we're doing. Follow along with the exact style of development. There's 174 million acres of land in Texas. 95% of it is privately owned. There's plenty of room in the state for people to come in and do the same things that we're doing.
So it's the first Texas certified prairie.
It's a certified Texas Prairie community. So the individual properties, regardless of size, I think the minimum size that MPAT will certify, if I remember correctly, is an acre. Okay.
And then it becomes a pocket prairie below that.
Yeah. Anything below an acre is considered a pocket prairie. Okay. Anything an acre above, and I'm sorry, Colin, if I'm butchering this, Colin O'Neill with MPAT. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not butchering this. But anything over 1 acre is just a prairie. Okay. And so the Native Prairies Association of Texas will send out some folks who will look at the diversity and the density of the species of grasses and forbs and determine whether or not it qualifies for this designation program. And you can announce that you're pursuing it and get some signage saying that you're pursuing it. And then once you meet those thresholds, you actually get that designation. And that's for individual property owners across the state. Well, obviously in our communities, every individual homestead owner, of which our minimum homesteads are 5 acres, but then they go on up from there. Each one is an individual property owner. So our homestead owners do in fact get that designation, that individual designation or certification on each one of their homesteads. Okay. But as a whole, the community as a whole is different. The community as a whole is how did you develop the entire property? What exactly did you do? And to what level did you bring it up? And did you just plant all of those native grasses and seeds, but then turn the development over without any protections and tell the next people and let the next people plant St. Augustine grass or whatever across the whole thing? Yeah. It's not going to qualify.
Or mow it down every year. There's a million different things they could do to ruin that designation.
Ways to take care of that prairie. It's funny because a lot of people assume that if you just stop mowing and doing whatever, to your property, it'll revert back. And that's not true. So it's taken millions of years for that hyper delicate, diverse, crazy, complex ecosystem to evolve. And to think that just by stopping, that it'll just come right back. That's not the case. It takes more work to bring it back than it even did to destroy it in the first place.
Sure.
Because these grasses that were planted are great for cattle. They're great. They're great for growing hay. Okay. But they're really poor when it comes to ecosystem. When we say ecosystem, we mean all of the microorganisms under the ground, right, are food for the organisms above ground, which are food for the bigger animals that are food for the even bigger animals, all the way up to predators that are flying and stalking, including us. And, that complex ecosystem, to bring that back is an expensive and very complex process that requires professionals. And when I say professionals, I mean like biologists, right?
Yeah.
And horticulturists. Like you need people that have degrees from typically Texas A&M, right? To come in here and advise you and help you with this work. It's not something that you can just wake up and figure out. You can't just broadcast seed all over the ground and hope that next year you're going to have, seasonal wildflowers. It doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we've done. We've gotten the professionals and we've brought them in. And as Jacob said, it's important that we did that because the folks that are signing up to be our land stewards want to know that people who are not just credible but knowledgeable are associated with this and have come in to do this. And I'll be honest, when we first started doing this, a lot of those organizations, the nonprofits, were a little skeptical because they've seen us before. They've seen our kind before, right? Coming in saying that we want to do all these things, but when it really comes down to it, and we see the zeros behind that first number, are we going to be willing to take it all the way across the plate? Or is this, as the term is called, greenwashing, which is where we're just trying to put a little bit of green, right, on what it is that we're doing. And they were skeptical and they had a right to be, and they should be, because for them to put their name on something like this is a bit of a risk for them, right? So they needed to know that we're real. And by real, that just means committed, because the real ones are them, right? The ones actually doing it. They're the real ones. So by us committing and working with them and allowing them to do the work that they know how to do in the way that they know it needs to be done, means that they're now on board with us. And it has been a wacky journey to have started in the first year that we were going to these conferences. We're the enemy, right? We're the people in the room that everybody, like we're secretly the wolves in the room, that everybody is looking over at, like, why are you here, right?
Yeah.
But by the fourth or fifth year, we're seeing speeches, right? There was a course, I guess you'll call it, that was conservation development this last year. And it was at that course, right? It was at that talk, okay?
Yeah.
When the panel is all conservation developers, and I almost missed it because my wife had some friends coming in from out of town, and I said, no, I need to go to that speech. And I got up and asked some questions at the microphone and said, look, we've got this piece of property we just purchased. You had just helped us get this piece of property, Chip.
Yeah.
And that was in December, at the end of December, like right before Christmas, okay? And here I am at this conference less than 60 days later, and I'm saying, I'm in this new county. This is beautiful country. I drive through, and the number one thing that I want to make sure I don't do is screw it up. And I need some assistance on exactly what I should be doing here.
Yeah.
And, a tall, lanky guy gets up right behind me and taps me on the shoulder and said, my name's Colin. I'm the new development director for NPAT, Native Prairies Association, Texas. Did you say Fayette County? I said, I did. He said, that's one of our most active areas, and you're right there in the Blackland Prairie. And I'm happy to talk to you after this. And I needed somebody to not be scared to talk with a land developer at a land conservation conference to kick this whole thing off. And that's really what started it all.
Are these when you say that the first Texas certified Texas prairie community, is there any of these things going on in other states?
No. So there are conservation developments happening in other states, and there's other styles of conservation development. The classic style is where somebody buys up, let's just say, we'll keep math easy. Somebody buys up 1,000 acres, okay, and they take, let's say, 200 or 300 of those acres, and they develop just your normal, what we call country suburbs, right? Okay. Jacob and I refer to them as country suburbs, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just the style of development that is cul-de-sac, paved roads, asphalt roads with 1 to 3 acre lots off of it. A lot of times they've brought in not just electric, obviously, but water lines and high-speed internet and all that kind of good stuff. And so you have everybody, that's called a cluster development. You got everyone clustered on these cul-de-sacs, and then it's surrounded, by hundreds of acres of this
green belt, what they would call it.
Yeah, green belt, right? And so what you find a lot of times is that the developer, the reason why they do that is either they're being required to do that as a condition of getting their permit, right, to be allowed to build that cluster development, but they're trying to wash it by saying it was our idea when in fact it was a requirement. Or what they do is put a conservation easement on it to take a huge, tax write-off, or they sell that easement, right, to offset some of the cost of the development. All of which is okay and is encouraged. But the question is, why did you do it in that manner, right?
Yeah.
But that's the classic style of a conservation development. Okay, ours is different. Ours is the only one that we know of that's like this, and we're finding from some of our service providers that work in this industry as they're reading our governance documents and whatnot. They're also telling us they've never seen it like this. We think that land stewardship is about you stewarding your private acreage. This is Texas.
Yeah.
People like private land. They like to own their acreage themselves, not jointly, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everybody else as part of a POA. They want their acres. Okay. So with our concept, wildlife communities, every acre is privately owned. Okay. There is no joint acreage. Right. Every acre is privately owned. Okay. That said, in that acreage, quite a bit of it, all of the area that's considered the wildlife management area needs to remain open for animals to be able to range and do their thing, okay? And also for the conservationists to be able to come onto the property and continue to take care of it. Because a big part of our wildlife communities, and as you know, a lot of people that buy out in these counties like this, like in Fayette County, those folks, in some cases may have more money than time. Okay. And have come from whatever their previous life was, whatever their career was, and are now looking to enjoy this land. And they want the beautiful backdrop of all these native grasses and wildflowers and all the animals and the pollinators. And if they're lucky, lightning bugs are coming back. Right.
Oh, no.
But they don't necessarily have the time or inclination to want to be wildlife biologists, right? And do trial and error with grassland recovery. So we have, something that we call done for you conservation, which means, look, you're, as Jacob says, your nose in, hands off, right? You get to enjoy all of it. And we're able to do it at such bigger scale and impact for a fraction of the cost of doing it individually, because we're doing it across all of these acres, right? And they're able just to enjoy the fruits, and year after year after year, the land just keeps getting better and better and better and better. It ages correctly. You look at these master plan communities, outside of these major cities, you buy in, and two, 3, 4, 5 decades later, these things, the value has plateaued. They're starting to look, a little aged. Okay. Maybe style has changed, that sort of thing. And everyone has moved out to the next master plan community and the next and the next.
Everybody needs their new roof at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody just kind of keeps pushing out. Well, this is different. Every single year, this just keeps getting better and better and better. Right. And so a big component of this is of course, there's a tax benefit, a property tax benefit, a major one, right? That comes with doing this type of work if you do it in the right way. And that is your land gets valued under an agricultural valuation instead of, market value. People, call it ag exempt, but it's really just a different way of valuing the land. And it can result in property taxes that are 70 to 80% less. Yeah. And so when you look at the amount of money that we ask property owners, these land stewards in our communities to pay into the association, to pay all these conservation professionals to keep everything nice and improving, year after year after year, it's always a percentage of those savings. Okay. And virtually, unless there's an extreme maintenance event of some kind that everyone has to come together to pay on a normal, average, regular year of living in a wildlife community, you're being asked to spend some of your tax savings in order to support this. Now, what does that mean? That means you're still getting to keep some of your tax savings, but even the money that you do pay from those savings into the POA, where does that money go?
To restoring the land. Right.
It goes right back into their dirt.
Yeah.
It doesn't go up the road. Okay. It's not used for other purposes. It goes right back into your dirt. Right? To just make your land more and more valuable. And this is land that has designations, certifications from really highly respected organizations. Impact's been around for 40 years. This is their 40th year. And, it's really something special. Year one is great. What I'm really excited for these families is year 10, year 15, because you're going to pass it. We talk about placemaking as a major pillar of what we do in our business, placemaking. And what placemaking means is not that you have a sign out front that announces, this is, the oaks of whatever ridge. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Placemaking is realizing you're someplace special without someone having to tell you that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you give this another decade, right? Another, not even, I mean, 5 years, 5 years, you're going to drive by this and it's going to look starkly different from all of the surrounding, working lands of, cattle grazing and, pasture. This is going to look starkly different. You're talking about dozens of species of beautiful plants, beautiful homes spread out across the property with guest homes and fire pit areas and, bunk rooms and all that kind of good stuff, but tucked into all those different living areas and then spreading across the property is nothing but gorgeous seasonal wildflowers. Most people think wildflowers.
I got a vision for it. I can visualize it.
There you go. Yeah. Most people think that wildflowers, are the thing to get excited about in the spring, right? Everybody's drags their kids out to,
blue bonnets and Indian paintbrushes.
Blue bonnets and Indian paintbrushes, right? And then the lawnmowers come out and mow it all down. But what you don't understand is that the, seasonal wildflowers, happen over virtually every month,
February through November.
There you go. Thank you.
I was out on our property this Monday, just in awe of the wildflowers that are still out there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The pollinators are still going crazy. I mean, we've got local carpenter beehives, honeybees, and bumblebees. And I know where they all, nest.
Yeah.
And all of the butterflies that are out there as well. I mean, they're all over our native plants. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's taking photos with this new lens that he's got, right? Mm-hmm. And I know what he's doing. He's trying to take a photo of one single pollinator and he's getting photo bombed by like 3 other different kinds of, I mean, he had that one picture. I'm serious of like all these different, and I'm looking at this like, man, this is insane. And we just purchased this thing with your help back in December. And here we are coming up on 1 year and already it's quite literally bees on bees.
I know. I was
okay.
When I left there, I called Gary Stevens when we got done. I was like, Gary, I need you to come to my house next and help me figure this out.
Good.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. Gary's the guy too, man.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Gary, it's funny that the phrase, I won't curse on your podcast because I think you had that little thing that said clean, but it's called get S done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the acronym is GSD. So what we call it in our projects is we also call it GSD, but we call it Gary Stevens done.
You got you, Gary Stevens done. He's so passionate about what he's doing. Stevens done. Yep. He's an awesome, awesome guy. So, well, this has been great, guys. And I can't wait to see, is there if anybody's listening to this, you can call us here at the real estate office at Bubella Real Estate, or is there a website or Facebook or any Instagram stuff we can go on and see your project?
Yeah, it's simple. Landwithinreach.com is
Okay.
the website. Land Within Reach is the Facebook page. Land Within Reach is the Instagram page.
So Land Within Reach, guys. Pretty cool. I love how the concepts that you come up with, you're almost like a marketing genius too, by the way.
Yeah.
He is.
He is very good. Very good. I love it. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Did you major in marketing or anything, or?
No. I'm a finance guy.
Finance guy?
And real estate. Got a real estate degree up in New York.
Okay.
But no, just books.
Yeah.
Books, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny. I tell Jacob all the time, if there's anything smart that it comes out of my mouth, it's literally coming from a book. That's it. It's about taking concepts from all these different authors. And
it's hard to come up with any. I mean, we've been here for so how many years now? It's hard to anything that we've come up with. It's hard to be a natural thought anymore because it's usually been created somewhere else before, and we can just take it and run with it from there. So very, very neat. Yeah, books changed my life. I always say fitness gave me confidence, and books changed my life. And you never want to. I always want to be a lifelong learner, right?
Yeah. What year was it when you basically dedicated yourself to reading like 60 marketing books? Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah. So that was in 2023. So every year at the beginning of the year, I say like, this is going to be the one thing that I'm going to deep dive in and learn to, get some mastery over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, we always think in terms of a scale of 1 to 5, right? Where 5 is you've achieved some level of mastery. And in most cases, I'm only ever trying to get to a 4, which is great, right? At anything. And that's only so that when we hire somebody, we can identify that, whether somebody's on their path to mastery because some of those things. But yeah, that was in 2023. That's right. And typically that's it's about what it takes is about 30 to 40 books, and then just diving into podcasts and just understanding who the real thought leaders are with it. But you just go in both feet and just, absorb as much as you possibly can. And it changes your thinking.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that it's not a file system in your mind that you're like, okay, I've seen this before. Let me go back in my mind and figure out what I'm supposed to do. It just changes you fundamentally. And it's really, to think that you can sit down over the course of a week and consume someone's entire life and all of the things that they have learned and that they want to tell you. Right. So like you think about your own life and how much of it maybe is non-useful filler, but all the stuff that is really important that you'd want to pass down and, teach, and that you'd maybe want your son or daughter to know. And to think that you're going to sit there and write that and take a year to really distill it down into exactly what you want to say and how you say it. And we get to benefit from that for $14.95.
I know, right?
In a hardback version up on my shelf that I can then give to my kids and that they can read is a steal of a deal. And there's no substitute for it.
Absolutely.
Reading is the thing.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Jake, so you like to read. What else do you like to do in your spare time?
My hobby is work, is building businesses, and that's it. But I love it.
Jake was a little bit more adventurous.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say my hobby is work. I love what I do. And I spend a lot of time doing it, but it's not the thing that constantly fills my cup. I got to go do other things. I have other itches to scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, before, I don't even know where to begin, man. My wife and I lived in a van for a couple of years while Ryan and I started this business, just traveling around the country, us and our 2 dogs. And I built the van out myself from scratch over like a year and a half, and then we moved into it full time. And so I was on the road working, having my adventures, and then things got pretty, busy for us.
Yeah.
And so I needed to be back, and it's time to start, raising a family. So we've got a little one now. But I like this sport called highlining.
Yeah.
It's like tightrope walking, except, in the climbing arena. Yeah. So it's like, you get
a rush from it.
Oh, it's the biggest of rushes. Yeah. So, you can do it on the ground, or you can do it, 1,000 feet in the air in the mountains. I just like going beautiful places and doing amazing things. And so takes a lot of prep work and teamwork and planning, execution, communication.
Sounds like business.
Skill.
Yeah.
It's skill to execute and do it safely. Keep everybody on your team safe. Have a hell of a lot of fun, and then you could go home happy. Yeah. So I've gone all over the country, a couple other countries to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
We were sitting in a cafe in Brenham. Okay, Jacob and I, and we had just finished driving, I think, Grimes County. We were scouting land, just kind of looking around. And we're sitting in this tiny little cafe in downtown Brenham having lunch. And the TV's going, and it's that the channel, Chive. The Chive, TV's going, and Jacob looks, and I said, hey man, look, I think that's the highlining. And he looks up and says, I think that's my feet. and then the video just kept going, and it slowly got to the point where it was just outright video of Jacob.
It was like a highlight reel of Jacob.
Yeah.
On the Chive.
And at first he was super excited, and I said, you do know that the Chive's making money right now based on showing video of you, and his face darkened a little bit. And he thought, wait a minute.
It only dimmed it a little bit. It was it wasn't completely overshadowed.
But he was thinking about, how do I get paid for this now?
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, where'd they steal that from?
Yeah.
Well, that's neat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We're on any given day, if you call Jacob on the phone, guaranteed he's talking to you not wearing a shirt or shoes. Like he's outside, right?
Yeah.
Just getting
a little bit hippie in you.
Oh, for sure. Oh man. I had a ponytail for like 7 years. I had long hair.
Okay.
Like past my shoulders for 7 years. Striking difference. I can clean up pretty good. My hair's longer now than it has been in years as well.
I don't have that. I wish I could have hair. I
can give you some.
You got plenty of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Okay. I want to talk. So you went to a college. What was the New York University?
I went to St. Ed's for my undergrad in Austin.
Okay.
And then I went to Baruch, which is the business school of City University of New York, up in New York. So I was up there during the financial crisis period, living up there, and I was working for an investment firm for a while. And while I was traveling on the subway, I started reading a book by Jane Jacobs called Death and Life of Great American Cities. And it really spoke to me. And it was a little serendipitous because I happened to be living in the West Village, right in Manhattan, right up the road, like 3 blocks away, which is a big deal. When you're thinking of Manhattan, be 3 blocks away from something that you're reading is very coincidental, right?
Yeah.
And I happened to be right down the road from where she lived and where the setting of this whole discussion took place. And I really got into urban planning, and just as a concept and just loved it. And then when the financial crisis hit, it was a good opportunity to reinvent. And the vacuum, the air was rushing out of the room on real estate development. Everyone was running for the exits because that's what the crisis was. So I figured, nobody's minding the shop. Let me just go on in there and see what's up. So I got a master's in development, real estate development while I was up there, and spent 12 years from there, came down to New Orleans and spent 12 years doing historic renovation, using historic tax credits, that sort of thing, to restore properties, and got a lot of personal satisfaction from that. Except that when we finally then, began to sell some of these off, you entrust other people to take care of that. And in some cases they did, and in other cases they didn't. And so some of that satisfaction, is a little tempered. But then here we come to Texas, back to Texas. I'm Amarillo born, Houston raised, schooled in Austin. And then, here I am back, and we're doing land development. And Jacob came on about 6 months after I started this company. And we were a very traditional land developer. There wasn't anything special about what we were doing. Just a normal rural land developer, but it didn't feel right. Something felt off. We were buying these timber tracts from a timber company, and we noticed that timber is nothing but a crop. Right. And you can see it from the air. It's just rows. It's nothing more. It's corn. It's big corn. Right. But we noticed these veins, these beautiful veins of old growth trees, right? Of hardwoods, and just these gorgeous veins from the satellite photos. And we wondered, what is that? And we noticed it with the topography that there was creeks, right? It was the creek. And so digging in a little bit, we found out from Texas A&M Forestry, those are called stream management zones, SMZs, and that the state requires that the timber companies maintain that, right? So it gives you a glimpse as to what the land actually was before it became these timber stands, this crop, okay? And how special is it that those trees had stood there like that and had been taken care of by these timber companies, and here we come buying up this land, and we of course didn't cut them down. But, we subdivide the land, we sell it, to folks, which of course all the conservation people are cringing hearing me say this because they talk about land fragmentation, right, as being the big problem. And in some cases they're not wrong. But, we sell this land and we realize those protections weren't in place. And we tried with deed restrictions to require people to maintain that stream management zone the way the timber company did. But as you know, with deed restrictions, it doesn't have any teeth. You got to enforce it. It doesn't have any teeth.
You got to pay attorneys to enforce it.
That's right. Your neighbors have to enforce it against you, that sort of thing. And we had a few instances of people encroaching into that SMZ, and it really felt pretty terrible. And Jacob and I talked about there's got to be a better way. And if we're going to continue to do this, we need to figure out a way for the dollars to make sense. And so that was the first year that I went to Rally, which is the name of the conference for the National Land Trust Alliance. And then from there, somebody recommended, I wish I remember this girl's name, because she's the one who recommended the Austin conference from the Texas Land Trust Council. Lori Olson's the executive director there, but they're the ones who put on the Texas Land Conservation Conference every year. Started going to that and just listening, because I certainly wasn't speaking because I was scared I was going to get thrown out. And just started listening and attending and understanding what was really concerning and what the real dire situation was in Texas, because it is fairly dire. And brought it back to Jacob and said, "What do you think, man? This is what I'm learning." He said, "Well, I want to come to the conference." So we did. So he starts attending, and we start, recognizing people. They're recognizing us. And then it was this last year coincided with you helping us buy that property, and now we're off to the races. It's weird being one of the few companies in the state doing this and being at the very front of this conversation with all these organizations. Strange place to be, but it's exciting, and we hope we're doing right by everybody.
Yeah, I think you are, for sure. Doing a great job. Very proud of the development y'all have done. If y'all are listening to this, if you haven't not been out there, it's a beautiful, beautiful development, and everything that they said is true. And it's just even the entrances are so very nice, and it's nice to drive by and see it come to fruition like it has. So absolutely. It's one thing to hear people talk about what they're going to do, but then you see them do it, that's you were committed for sure.
Yeah, we're trying, we're doing our part. And, the key is to find the families. The key is to find the folks that say, this is how we want to live. We're looking for initially, we know the game. Initially, they're looking for the backdrop. They're looking for the aesthetics. Mm-hmm. They want to see the grasses and flowers and the animals, and they want that to be part of their life story and in their photographs with their kids, right? And we get that, and that's fine. And see it through the windows of their homes. But we know that what's going to happen is, 1, 2, 3, 4 years into the burn, it's going to really grab onto their heart, right? And they're going to want to be a part of actually working on that land and seeing it come back, because everybody likes gains. That's the hardest part of working out, right, Chip? Yeah. Is until you start seeing some gains. And so as those gains come, because professionals are doing it, mm-hmm. We strongly believe that land stewardship is going to then become an ethos of these families. And that, the more that we can get families in Texas thinking about stewarding Texas, the better the state's going to be. Yeah. And we love this state. I love this state. I know you love this state, and Jacob loves this state. It's the greatest state in the world. There was a meme that I still haven't showed you, Jacob, that I want to show you.
We've sure talked about it.
I did talk about it. So there's a guy in Germany who they gave him a map of the United States with all the states, and the states are blank, and he had to fill it out, right? The only two he got right were California and Texas. Okay. And on all the others, it was just kind of jokes. Yeah. He had no idea. And on the one on California, he wrote California. And on the one on Texas, he wrote, I am 100% positive that this is Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I were to draw the state of South Dakota on a map, I'm not picking on South Dakota here, but if I were to draw a picture of South Dakota on a napkin, and just slowly slide that napkin over to you without any context, you wouldn't even know that it's a state. You'd be like, what is this? Yeah. But if I were to draw the state of Texas on a napkin and slide it in front of you, or slide it in front of some guy from Japan, or slide it in front of some lady from Ireland, everyone would instantly ask, why did you just stick the state of Texas in front of it? Right. It's world famous. And Absolutely. We are the Texans, which means it's our responsibility to steward it, so that it's not just something in the past that we talk about. It's something that we pass down to our kids, because we've all got kids here, right? And it's important that they get at minimum what we got, right?
And I was always impressed, like even with Phil Collins, the music artist, he's from Europe. I think he's from Britain or whatever, but anyways, he was a huge Texas history fan, and collected all these artifacts and everything. And
from the Alamo.
Yeah. So from all of that, but he gave it back to the Alamo. He's like, here for your museum, it's millions of dollars worth of stuff. I think it's like valued at like 20 million or something crazy.
And why does Texas capture Phil Collins' imagination? Phil Collins has been all around the world.
Yeah.
Phil Collins has been everywhere on this planet. Why did the Alamo, the story of that, capture his mind? It's only a place like this that can do that. And right now, Texas is capturing everybody's mind. We've got 25 million people here, and they're saying that by 2050, we're going to have 50 million people here.
Yeah.
Right now, most of those people are going to end up in the cities, but some of them are going to end up in this county.
Yeah.
Right. And that's great. Growth is fine as long as we grow in a smart way.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And part of that is making sure that we take care of the ecosystem and the parts of the state that are the natural parts of the state that make it so special. And it's not just the clear green, rivers of central Texas, of the hill country.
Right.
It's also the grasslands.
Just make sure you capture that moment right there. That's perfect. That'll be the highlight of the podcast for today. That was perfect the way you said that. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. Closing remarks. Check out landwithinreach.com, what they're doing. And the first Texas certified Texas Prairie community. I think I got it right.
Yeah.
But that's pretty phenomenal. Very good information today. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these things happen. Maybe more people grasping onto the idea and doing the same thing in their communities too. So, anything else you want to say before we go?
You want to plug potentially the job page?
Yeah, careers. Yeah. So, look, if we're our own special kind of weird, right? As a company, we're doing something unique. Okay. And as you know, because of Good to Great, Jim Collins is the is what we follow, right? And a big premise of his, right? A big concept is the concept of the bus, right? Mm-hmm. Getting the right people on the bus in the right seats, doing the right things right. Okay. The hardest part of business by far is finding the right people. Mm-hmm. Most everybody is the right person for some bus, but only a few are the right people for our bus, right? Yeah. And it's hard to find those sorts of people that this speaks to them. So if anything that we're saying today speaks to you, right? If this seems like you're kind of weird, then go to landwithinreach.com, go to the very bottom of the page. You'll see a button there that says join our team. Click it and see if we have any open positions. Likelihood is we won't have something posted that's going to match up exactly with who you are and what you do. But I can promise you, if you are the right person for our bus, we will stop the bus and at least have a conversation to see if we can't figure something out to get you on either immediately or in the near future, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be needed in order to do what we're envisioning in the state.
Absolutely. Finding great people, and like you said, do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity to do what y'all need them to do? So
that's it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you, Chip.
Everyone, Ryan Burnett, Jacob McLaughlin, Ryan Burnett.
That's right.
Not the county. Thank you very much.
All right.
Have an awesome day.